Yes, yes, so Hairless here. Love of Tired Swans, Dimash Kudaibergen. This one seems to be a fan favourite, at least that's the impression I get based on all of the comments and suggestions that I receive for this one. It's a song by Igor Krutoy. It will be nice to hear his music again. And this was originally sung by Lara Fabian. We've done a fair bit of her music on this channel, a lot of Igor's music and of course Dimash. The lyrics are on screen, have a pause and a read, and then we'll get straight into it. This song is sung in Russian. Dimash Kudaibergen. Very cinematic here, isn't it? I was trying to practice my Cyrillic reading. Muzika Igor Krutoy, Mikhail Gutseriev. Stichy? I don't know what that word is. I guess it means lyrics or the text.
Посмотри мне в глаза, ты прости мне, я сожалею, я люблю тебя, жизнь моя, без тепла, я тобой болею, удержать.
Well, extremely cinematic so far. The first, I don't know, 30 seconds or so, no music really, but wow, what a video. You can see that they've really gone full on with everything, with the set, with the costumes, the design, with the special effects as well. I mean, look at these guys. So professional. I'm getting the impression of good versus evil here. The swans, they're being held down by these dark, demonic, ghoulish figures. No idea what they are. But in the imagery as well, you know, you've got this kind of more subtle, cooler blue shading on everything. But then here, these moments, very heavenly, everything's very golden. Sweating profusely like we opened up with Dimash almost makes you feel hot yourself. Yeah, it's really cinematic. We also had this. These are the swans, I guess, being suppressed underneath, what is that, like mesh? A mesh cage of some sort. I see the majority of them, it looks like, are missing their wings. We saw wings flying at the start. So what, are their wings being cut off? Grim. Let's listen to a bit more of the song and then we'll discuss a bit more.
Нам очень трудно, я совсем один, ты пойми, без любви ничего не нужно.
Okay, this is the chorus. How do I know that? Well, the lyrics told me, but that's not how I know. This is how I know. That's a little teaser. I'll get back to that later on. Let's just go over a few things about the song before we go into the chorus. The chorus is super nice, really nice. So I'm keen to go and hear that, and if you don't know it, then I'm keen for you to hear it too. There's a really cool feel to this song in general. It feels classic yet modern. And it's down to the choice of instrumentation. You know, Igor Krutoy with his music, he's so careful, I imagine, with absolutely everything. He has his image or his vision of the music in his mind. From what I've heard, he writes really great music. We have the heavy reverb and the echoes of these noises that gradually fade out. Kind of reminds me of The Matrix. I'm pretty sure I've said this in at least one other of my Dimash videos, by the way. But yeah, it's the combination of the heavy beat, albeit quite a slow beat, and the synthetic arpeggio type sounds. I'm showing an example from earlier on because it's easier to hear. Of course, we have the strings at the top as well, the violins, and to go back to our Matrix example, we can hear them as well at the top. So we have the instrumentation that's been chosen. It's kind of a weird combination of everything and how it's done, but it just works really, really well. It's very Igor Kruтой. It is. I can't really use Igor as an adjective, can I? But I'm going to, so it is what it is. I also like the structure of this song, how it maintains momentum. The bass line is such a huge part. In the inner parts, we often have chromatic falls or just scale passages, notes moving consecutively down or up. And in the bass line, it does exactly that. And the bass line being at the bottom of everything, it's like this harmonic foundation. It can show us where we might be moving in terms of the harmony. So let's have a listen out for the bass line, and it will be falling. The starting note here will be dum. I don't know about you, but I was not expecting it to do what it did. It went here, and then you might expect it to keep falling, but no. And then chromatic, and then back up. So that alone, underneath everything else we're hearing, it's just quite strange. You know, it's not really what we might expect. And then you have the final piece of the puzzle, the most important thing, Dimash and his voice. It's quite a reserved register so far. Doing what he does so often, implementing some air into the sound, which I really, really love. But overall, things are quite reserved. He's not moving too high or anything. He's not moving into operatic tenor Dimash or counter tenor Dimash. I think it's a safe bet when you hear Dimash that he might do something crazy in a song. We haven't got that yet, so we could probably expect to get it later on. Overall, it's a really nice start to the song, getting us introduced to everything, to the soundscape that we're hearing. Really cool video it looks like as well. Super high quality. Let's carry on and go straight into the lovely, lovely chorus.
Не могут жить в разлуке лебеди. Подожди, не спеши, не говори, что чувства позади. Нет назад пути. Не могут жить в разлуке лебеди. Подожди, не спеши. В разлуке боль сильней. Любовь мою согрей. Любовь уставших лебедей. Мои дни без души.
I mean, that could be a different person singing, couldn't it? Of course it's not. Of course it is the alien Dimash. I just noticed this video just hit 10 million views, by the way. That's quite a cool milestone for it, especially considering the quality of it. I was watching that and just thinking, wow, it's really cool. The idea of partners as well, partners in love. The lyrics, swans cannot live apart. I think swans are known for mating for life. At least most of them, I think. Right, let's take a look at the chorus. Why is it so catchy and so nice? Obviously, Dimash is singing it, but in the backing parts behind him, when he's singing or even in between when he's singing, which is probably more important in the point I'm about to make, it's being played constantly. There may be slight melodic adjustments. One of the notes might be a little bit different or something, but it's always being played. The lower note is different, but overall it's that same melodic motif. Again, in the piano there, and now what are the violins doing? The violins are doing it at the same time as Dimash here, but then they move into slightly more of an elongated melody. But we can all agree that the melody is being heard somewhere at any kind of given time. Almost like subliminal messaging, Igor Krutoy is making sure that we're always hearing it. In addition, we have all these other layers. The violins have now dropped out of repeating the motif. Instead, they just have more elongated, smooth lines, and the violins are an emotional instrument. I've seen Igor use them many, many times, this orchestral sound. So many other things we're hearing, all these different layers to thicken the texture of the soundscape. So how can Igor enhance it all? Well, it's what he does with the harmony. The repeated chorus, this idea that we're hearing over and over, starts really low as well. That's a bottom E. That's as low as your typical lowest bass in the choral world will be required to sing. Kind of exaggerates my point earlier about it being reserved and Dimash singing or staying quite low, but that's really low. Anyway, the chorus, so we get the melody repeated over. When it's repeated, it makes it easier to sing along to. You hear it once and then you go, oh, okay, it's happening again. I can sing along. We are familiar with it. But there is the harmony underneath that's changing whilst the melody doesn't change. So the chords we're hearing are, and the melody. So as part of the first chord, here, two of those notes, that's a tritone, the devil in music, a real discordant interval. Put them all together, a luscious chord, dissonance, dissonance, resolve, then the chord changes, but the melody doesn't. Fine, dissonance, dissonance. You know, this second chord change is really quite dissonant. And then when we move to the last chord, Dimash's melody changes to account for too much dissonance at the end. We still get some there, but then it's fine. Melody doesn't change, chords do. We become familiar with the melody, but there's also variety, enough variety to keep things interesting. Naturally, because one changes and the other doesn't, dissonance is created. And as we know, especially through Igor's music, that dissonance creates tension in the music, and we're certainly feeling tension here. Then for the second part, again, everything repeats. And then the melody changes a little bit. And then we finish on, the major version of the chord we had before. Major, happier, more uplifting, as though there's hope or something. This technically could be a tierce de Picardie or a Picardy third, where you finish an overall minor section of music with a major chord at the end, so finishing things off quite happy. But that doesn't last long, because then we return to the unequivocal minor. I mentioned earlier, repeating a motif makes it easier to sing along to. I did not say that for no reason. I have experienced that with this song twice. First time was in Budapest, 2024. That was my first time ever seeing Dimash. I didn't know the song then, I'd never heard it. And then the second time was several months ago at the time of recording in 2025. And that was in London, my second time hearing the song, but I've never heard it aside from those two times. In the introduction to this video, I mentioned this one seems to be a fan favorite. Well, having experienced that and seeing everyone sing along to it, and Dimash uses this as a song for everyone to sing along to. He gets the lyrics on the background and everyone can read and sing. It's really quite moving, and another huge reason why I say this is a fan favorite. Okay, let's carry on. It sounds like we just moved into countertenor Dimash, quite an airy sound. Yeah, I've seen it performed live a couple of times, but I still don't know if the official music video will be different or not. We know that the videos can definitely be different. If you enjoy these videos, please consider supporting me. You can buy me a coffee or hot chocolate, join our Patreon for loads of additional content that's not available on YouTube, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. All options are linked below, and a special thanks to everyone on the screen. Back to the video. Here comes male soprano Dimash. That will be very nice to end with. Sorry, this video has become dark. Their wings being lasered off by these weird demonic smoke ghoul things. I just don't know what they are. Grim though, isn't it? I was getting so into the video as well with this almost like a sandstorm. It's a really nice video. Really, really nice. But it does look quite cataclysmic, as though it's the end of the world with these meteors coming down and everything. Absolutely loved the last section we just heard. Dimash singing in that airy head voice of his, or blended voice at times. That's a real blended voice. Best bit. That is the best bit. I'm listening again. So nice. There are just a lot of nice things in this song. We have this repeated, which is not just harmonically significant because it refuses to move as the harmony does, so naturally again dissonance, it comes in and then it resolves, but it's also very rhythmic, chun chun chun, just giving syncopations in there in such a subtle way, especially against Dimash's melody. It's really obvious when Dimash is just singing the end of a phrase and it's one long note. And then there, cha 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 cha, really subtle but actually quite harsh rhythmic differences in there. There was another line that I love, and it's something that we have seen before with Igor and the orchestral side of things. It's the horns coming in. The horn is such a powerful instrument when it comes to these larger sounds, often overlooked and often missed. So I want you to listen out for the phrase. Piercing through the music. Did you catch that? I just think it works so nicely. Horns like that, that type of sound, I've said in probably quite a few other reactions I've done to other artists, it really makes the music feel like film music. And when you're watching a video of this quality, you feel like you're watching a film, a proper movie, like a real cinematic experience. The power in operatic tenor Dimash. very, very intense vibrato, unlike the airiness that we were hearing earlier. So it's this really quick contrast of sounds as well. I love it. Let's carry on now to hear that male soprano Dimash finish up this song. I'll start from where they're cutting off the wings because I was just talking about his vibrato. I always find it interesting hearing when Dimash chooses to use vibrato or not to use it and to sing with the straight tone instead. The straight tone, especially when high up in his chest voice, can really sound quite pained. And what the lyrics here, you know, the pain grows stronger in separation. And now envelop my love with your warmth. Talking about love rather than pain, and now the vibrato comes back.
Любовь уставших лебедей,
Oh, I was certain they were plunging to their death at the end, but then we... see them flying away. Are they really flying away? Right, so that final section, I don't want to talk about it too much. Obviously, Dimash goes on an absolutely mad one. It was insane. It just affected my body. I don't know about you. I think my eyes were starting to water. I was getting shivers everywhere, almost like an ethereal experience. It's not just Dimash's ridiculous angelic singing though, maybe more angelic because I see him with wings here, but it's the fact that the harmony is just completely changed now. We're getting different chords in a different order, nothing like we've heard before in the song. So everything now is just like a whoom moment. It's all quite overwhelming. New harmony, new chord progression, sort of new instrumentation. At least things aren't really played the same as they were before too much. And then on top of that, you have just this unbelievable singing. And then we return to the chord progression and the melody that we are familiar with. I think that's the way to do it. If you're going to have some part of a song that is changed, make it as impactful as possible, especially if you're then reverting to how things were before. I'm going to stop there because I'll just keep saying, oh, the video is amazing and the music is great. Dimash is great. Really, really cool and really interesting to see this video, you know, after seeing it and him perform this live 2 times. Even though I did see them live, I'm not going to remember everything from the live concerts. It's a different experience than sitting here making a video on it where I know I need to talk about the music. When I'm watching it live, my priority is just to experience it. I'm sure we can all agree when you see something live, you don't remember everything. You know, you're there engrossed in it. You're there for the moment. So yeah, very happy to finally get to this one. Comment down below other fan favorite Dimash songs that you think I should do a video on. I always like reading the suggestions. And if you don't want to write any words, then let's go for a swan emoji. Put those swans down in the comments below. Would really appreciate you liking the video as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.